Peas on Moss is brought to you by Kimberly Schaub, a culinary scientist turned business developer. Over the past 4 years, the audience has downloaded episodes over 40,000 times, and we have 1,500 impressions across the website and a host of social media platforms. Will you consider contributing to the show to help keep it on air? Donations through Patreon help to offset the cost of web hosting, editing, and producing the various Peas on Moss offerings, from podcast episodes to videos, and every little bit helps. From corporate advertisement to sponsored content and private contributions. Reach out to me on peasonmoss.com for details. Hello, Peas on Moss listeners. Kimberly Schaub here. I have a special episode to present this week, a recap of the Research Chefs Association virtual conference, RCA+. I have special guests on the show, and I'm excited to have you hear from them. The Research Chefs Association is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and it's also encountered financial losses due to the pandemic. There is a significant need to support the RCA now so that we can keep it going for 25 more years, and more, of course. And there are myriad ways to contribute. From renewing your own membership, inviting colleagues to sign up, buying swag or books, or direct donations. It's challenging to be asking for money in a time that finances aren't easy for so many, and RCA volunteers are keenly aware of that. At the same time, there are costs to running the nonprofit and providing the resources we benefit from. Members, new in legacy, have been stepping up with planning events, hosting presentations, matching fundraising contributions, and activity participation, and this is helping. As an active volunteer, I've recently gotten to support the Seattle region's upcoming April 29th raffle fundraiser featuring donations from chefs, writers, and artisans and businesses who are coming together to support both the Research Chefs Association and Big Table. Big Table is a nonprofit that supports workers in the food and hospitality industry with acute challenges, often financial, to help mitigate setbacks that can suddenly occur. Visit culinology.org and check the events calendar to get the link to the raffle and to sign up for the accompanying mixology class presented by the Bacardi Center of Excellence. Again, that event is on April 29th. You do not have to be present to win raffle prizes, and the funds get divided between the Research Chefs Association and Big Table. Peas on Moss itself doesn't have a great deal of cash resources yet either, but I've been honored to moderate several panel discussions and host the Cooking at Home with RCA Chefs cooking series, an engaging idea created by Chef Jeffrey Kuzminer. We're starting again in May. Whatever you're able to give, whether that's time or funds, your activity and involvement in RCA are valuable, and RCA is built to be an organization to support the needs of the members. I'm looking forward to a strong future, and it will be a lot of work to get there. So let's do that together. Let's rally behind our professional association, shape the future that will ready us for the adventures ahead, and invest in our opportunities together. Well, welcome Jaime and Justin to the Peas on Moss quick recap of RCA Plus. I'm super stoked that you are here to just debrief on the conference and kick off the next RCA year together. So I guess before we dive right into it, let's do quick introductions. You all know me from Peas on Moss, so I'll skip me and we'll go to Justin.
So my name is Justin Kanthak. I am the segment director for our snacks business with Griffith Foods, and I am this most recent president. So I wrapped up with RCA Plus last week. So,
all right, and Jaime.
I am Jaime Meston. I am Vice President of Culinary Innovation at Vanderbeef in Chicago. And I am, just since RCA Plus wrapped up, I am the new president of the organization.
I have past presidents and new presidents on this call. Oh my goodness. It's like I planned it.
It's so presidential.
So presidential. Well, yeah, RCA Plus is finished. And I imagine it feels a bit like completing your wedding plans and doing the wedding. And then now that all of the champagne has been drunk, we're sitting here in the figurative, chairs and the caterer is cleaning up. So take yourself into that space. And what are you thinking? Let me pour you a drink and tell me, how do you feel? We'll start with you, Justin.
Well, I can tell you that I ate less calories last week than I would have normally at conference, and I had less drinks with peers and coworkers. But otherwise, it felt very good. In the grand scheme of things, there was a lot of stress the last year for obvious reasons around all the environments regarding the RCA and actually any nonprofit space. So to come out of last week and have a really successful event, which I think might be even understating it, felt really good.
Champagne bottle goes to you, Jaime.
I echo that. It's kind of like while you're in the trenches, you don't really know. And then finally the battle is there and you get through the other side and you realize that not only was it a victory, it was an amazing one where there was very little issues with anything. A million things could have gone wrong and everyone's holding their breath. And all of a sudden it was just kind of, we got some phenomenal feedback, and I'm sure you were a part of a few text storms of, this is amazing. I can't believe we got this content, or, the speaker just totally nailed it. And you feel that energy kind of build. And it's actually, I kind of feel like, when you spend all day traveling, you got a work trip and you're going for like an hour flight somewhere for like an hour meeting for an hour flight home, but your entire day is spent in traveling. And at the end of the day, you're just exhausted, but it was successful. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I'm taking Monday off, Tuesday off. So I'm recouping, but very exciting to be on this side of it.
For those of you who missed the RCA Plus conference, firstly, I believe you can go back in and buy the recordings. So make sure that you do, because the content this year was some of the best I've seen. And I'll give you, I'm not a 25-year veteran of RCA. And I was so impressed with the caliber of the speakers and the quality of their content and the delivery platform. I feel like the last 385 days have given me some expertise in what conferences look like online, and I'm very picky. And I will say RCA leadership did an outstanding job on the platform that was chosen and the ways that we can network. So let's take a little peek behind the curtain as far as how the platform was chosen and what did you think went well with that?
So the easiest way to say that is trusting in your people. Working with our staff and the events planning team at Smith Buckland, they've been living in the virtual environment. And when we did RCA Powered Up, we were kind of first in the environment to make that shift. And we kind of had to work with the tools that were available. Now, being a year later, and a lot of other conferences had gone virtual, the staff had very strong recommendations of platforms that were right-sized for our organization, but also had been vetted and that they had familiarity with. So rather than us just being kind of blind and first through the wall on a new technology, they had comfort, they had made recommendations. And the same with the breakout session, because we'd gotten a lot of good feedback about the ability to commingle and co-interact on one of our virtual platforms. And that was, again, another recommendation from staff. So they're the experts. They came and made some suggestions, and we asked them what they would do. And they were very specific about what we should do. So we listened. So trust in good people.
I think, Jaime, you had given us a hint on the Wonder Rooms before, where I think you log into the system and then you have a little avatar that shows up on screen, and you drag your avatar to different circles and you can join that. And that I contemplated showing up in those little pop-up Zoom conference calls, like holding a glass of beverage or something, just to be like, hey, y'all. I didn't, for the most part, because we only had a few minutes to jump to circle to circle. But yeah, from the speed networking to the little Wonder networking and all of that, that was just such an entertaining way to run into someone in a way that I wouldn't have known how to do before, last year. And in a lot of our virtual events this past year, it's been, commenting on the Zoom chat and then see whoever responds and then reaching out and being like, oh, hey, I haven't talked to you in a coon's age,
Right.
So this was really outstanding. So bravo to the team and the collaboration at Smith Buckland and the RCA staff and leadership. You can tell a lot of work went into this, bluntly. So I hope you are taking time to enjoy that, and I hope all the rest of the team is as well. So, Justin, you have survived a presidency completely virtually, and now the culmination of that is that this organization is going to survive. So, take me to how that feels. How are you feeling with surviving? And you got us to another year.
So I would say that my presidency was 93% virtual. There was a very small window after Louisville that I could actually see people, and I don't want to understate what it was like back in remember back in 2019, the old days. But the short answer is it feels really good that we got this far, and the democratic way to say it is there's still a lot to do. What we have done is we're continuing to always work on time that is an environment that can quickly erode if we don't keep focused. But that doesn't want to I don't want to undershine the fact that we made a lot of good decisions and we acted very quickly. And in the face of other things that we saw in the environment, we chose to make decisions rapidly and make the best decisions and best commitments we could. And that allowed us to, one, financially be in a better position to navigate these things, but also to respond when new problems came up. As we all remember, there was, this will be over in 2 weeks, and then 2 months, and then 6 months, and 8 months, and now 14 months later. We made decisions that were allowing this COVID to extend for about 2 years back in July of last year. So we were putting ourselves in the best position then. And a lot of it was just hedging our bets. And at worst, the environment stayed the same. At best, it got better. So we planned for the worst and accounted for the best. And I believe RCA Plus was the genesis of good future planning and risk management. To sound overly boring and ex-presidential in it, it's just really true. Just be smart about your decisions, and that's how we got to the outcome we wanted. And a lot of people time.
There's still a lot to do, but what's nice is that as previous treasurer, and because of the proximity, and I know you know this, Kimberly, we've been in the same quarantine since we live close to each other. Our children are around the same age, so we've also had to work very closely through this whole pandemic. And so what's nice is that there's a continuation of transparency and of a plan. So it's not like this immediate stop, Justin's gone, okay, start up again, Jaime. No, where the engine is continuously rolling. And that's on purpose. And there's a lot of planning. And he's also made it very clear that, for lack of a better, just to sound selfish, I guess, that this is my presidency and that I have different visions for the organization than he had. And that's good and great. And I need to own that. But it's kind of like adding another train to the car, right? Or another car to the train, excuse me. But we're still rolling. And right now we're still low on coal. I mean, we don't have enough to kind of keep the engines fired up for forever, but that's exactly why there's a lot of strategic planning that went involved.
Plan the work and work the plan.
Choo choo.
It sounds overly cliche, but it's exactly what we've been doing. So,
and I will say the funniest thing is that I think I've heard Justin say the same probably 200 words, different ways for the last year of my life, right? And it really is just keep it simple. It needs to make sense. It needs to be strategic. But it has to be simple. There's no reason. And we're an organization of idea makers, right? Creators, dreamers. And we can come up with a million ideas of how to make money, a million ideas of what we should do with XYZ, but it's the actual, sitting down and executing it. And so Justin, his whole own the solve. He goes, if you think this is something that we should be doing, then send me a proposal. Let's talk about it, get all the information together and run it. Because quite frankly, if you think this is going to, if A is going to give you B, then show it to me and we'll make it happen. But if you can't come to the table with a solution, a meaningful solution, then it's let's back burner, right? Until it's time to reevaluate. So.
Well, to take that one step further, being an organization that lives and dies on volunteer efforts, especially when you're tight on staff, especially when you're trying to reduce costs, great ideas are a dime a dozen, but you'll really find out how quickly an idea goes from plausible to executable by seeing how much the idea maker commits to the vision and the execution of their idea. This is like the secret to all volunteer leadership. If somebody comes up with a great idea and they're willing to run it, it's probably a really good idea. And if you can find that there are more people to magnetize that to that idea, it's even better. But if somebody's not going to buy in and do the work to commit to their own idea, it's obviously just not something that's going to drive it forward. Rarely that does change.
Kimberly,
someone else will see it, but.
And Justin, I mean, I think you'll agree with me. Kimberly's an excellent example of this. She's like honorary staff. This past year, she stepped up insanely, not only herself,
Hustlers Group,
right, so. through her work. And also the Hustlers Group was the example I was going to do. But I mean, on top of that, she's got full-time job. She's this amazing, like traveling nomadic presence, but she's still managed to get all of these things done, run regionals, do all of these other things. So, and I mean, Kimberly, you can speak firsthand about what it takes to really make a difference. And it's hard. You have to love what you do and you have to want to do it for it to be successful.
I think that's the piece is I love this organization. It's given me an identity that feels true to my core as far as my passion for food and how I show up as a product developer and now as a business developer. So when you love an organization and you believe in its future and you believe in what it can do to enable successful careers and change an industry, it's easier to give that time and money and hours that you don't really have, but you're going to anyway. It's super easy to do that. There are people who have a lot of other things to balance. Mine was managing to keep everything in a car, right? But when you see other people, a year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's not. This wasn't an easy thing for you to do, and you excelled. You knocked it out of the park. And don't ever think that it was just this or it was just that. No, I mean you've done some tremendous things this past year, and I mean, had we hung out probably prior, I could say you've always done tremendous things. But you really showed up, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean. I obviously have not loved COVID, and I would have much preferred a normal transition into a sales role and jet setting and buying customers drinks or whatever you're supposed to do as a salesperson. I have no idea because my entire sales career for the last year has been two-dimensional. And yet, to your point, Jaime, I think we've become closer because we've been stapled to our chairs and have still wanted to reach out and keep that connection with RCA, with each other, even though we couldn't actually fly into each other's towns and hang out. And so I think that has, that translated into co-founding the Hustlers Group so that the young professionals could still network and we could build out that relationship. It translated into asking smarter questions about being a sales person and learning how to build relationships and work through problems when you couldn't just bust into town and then take them out for lunch and then hope that they still buy from me at the end, And so I think it's really honed skills that you wouldn't have gotten as quickly, perhaps. Having really good mentors has also been the superpower trick. And I think that's what I'm hoping to convey to the Hustler members is our success, my passion for RCA is related to how well we can build out our network. So, that could be the formal network, you get an older mentor who just conveys knowledge to you, which just doesn't happen. Or you build these relationships and you can say, I've worked myself into a corner. What do I do? And Jaime, you can respond and say, well, I've got experience there. I've gotten myself in this corner. And this is also how I got out of that corner. And it's like, okay, I can take some of that information and apply it to the situation I'm in. And I think that only happens when we're connected through RCA and other organizations, and through,
I agree.
Direct relationship.
See, I learned from this group that it's okay to have peer-to-peer mentors, which before was kind of like, well, what do I need to know from you? We're around the same age. We kind of do the same thing. And oh my goodness, I have become a much better version of myself just from the conversations and the quick, snippets back and forth on the platform. And obviously, it's always good to have someone older or more experienced, maybe not older, but more experienced in whatever you're trying to be mentored on or whatever. But this peer-to-peer stuff is very new to me because as you work, you don't have a lot of time to just chat or talk or text or whatever because you're working. But this group has been phenomenal in that. And so I've really actually this past year got way more opportunities with that peer-to-peer mentoring and come out the other side very successful just from that group. So I'm forever grateful for it.
So as far as looking at the future of RCA, I know that we're kind of in the middle of the hill climb to get back to a good position financially and for securing our future. So I guess this kind of feels like you've hiked, you've done a couple of the switchbacks, and you're like, okay, we're catching our breath, we're eating trail mix or whatever at this point, and we're about to go towards the summit again. And now Justin has handed off the hike leader stick to Jaime. So let's just go with that image because I just doubled down on it. Okay. What are you asking for from us RCA members who are listening to this right now? What do you need us to do to step up for you?
Oh, look at Justin.
It's up to you. This is Jaime's first real big presidential statement here. So I want to hear about this.
It is. And obviously, the first thing I'm going to go with is membership growth. There is nothing more important than having members. We're not a group without them. So it's if you were able to go to the annual business meeting or you've seen some of the things in the presidential address, things like that, you'll know that, this past year, due to financial situations, loss of jobs, they had to switch gears in their industry, whatever it is. We lost a few members, here and there. But I think the best part about coming out of RCA Plus is seeing all of the opportunity for all the different types of members. And I say that because we had a gentleman, and Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, aerospace engineer?
Mm-hmm. Aerospace engineering.
Who was on our hustler call because he says something he's interested in. He's interested in more like the technology piece and all of that. And here I am thinking I never would have thought of that. So membership growth, I think, is top of mind for me. That's important, and that will only grow our network and make it. Obviously, it'll grow our network, but it'll make it more fruitful in all that we're able to do, and the connections that we're able to make, and the efforts that we all put forward that come from these different membership groups. We'll be able to just, double down and create more opportunity for everyone in our industry. And I think you'll both agree that we have a very unique membership build where nobody comes from a straight line into RCA. There's a couple zigzags, some loop-de-loops, and then you find yourself in this organization like, wow, why didn't I know about this before? So I think making it, top of mind for students especially, and Kyle Stewart is doing an amazing job with that specifically, but the kind of brand awareness membership growth is huge. We've also got some really great, I'll do this one. I'll throw this one in for Justin. Financial foundation is very important. And we have to make sure that we create more opportunities for financial growth so we can continue to have a financial stability. That's huge. I'm excited about globalization. You want to speak to Nate Chalmers out there, Justin, or?
Well, the reality is culinology is not exclusive to the United States or North America. And the only thing that's hindered our ability to take it internationally is our willingness to be committed to make it happen. We work in a global environment, and we have members who are from the US who are living abroad, and they are interested in carrying that torch. So what do we do to enable them and give them the leniency to go out and figure it out? I've been lucky enough to have calls with Demetrios and Nate over in Germany, and they have their plans, and they're doing a good job reaching out to other organizations and communities. Now, you have to remember that there's an infrastructure in the United States from an education standpoint that allows us to draw from culinology in specific programs. So we have a known equity there. But for them, they're creating a new environment. And it comes down as simple as what does your first 100 members look like? And that's the task that I had given both Demetrios and Nate is tell me what your first 100 members look like and what are they going to do for you? And that alone is what they're working on right now. They're leading with that guidance. To build on your previous question, be here now. That's not my saying, that's from a book, Deep Survival, but be here now is all about understanding that this is the environment we live in today. So you have to be present and you have to be committed to solving today's challenges, because if any of our members are students, our young professionals, and our more senior members, if they're not investing in us today, we're not giving ourselves the best conference for next year, or the best event, the best global international conference 2 years from now. Waiting for tomorrow to come to be present won't happen. We need it here now. So, anyone who's listening, be here now, be present, be committed.
That's a nice shout out to our legacy partners too, because they didn't have to do what they did when they did it.
No, and that's the piece
they absolutely stepped up and invested.
A lot of people don't see that attribute of what happened the last year. Is we're working on a lot of grace of a lot of 25 years of work, but not just the 25 years that got us here, but also the commitment to the next 25, and our business plans and how we architect, how we're architecting the future. Those are what our legacy partners invested in. And I'll be honest, it wasn't a donation. It was an investment. They believed in the last 25. There were a couple of times we were losing our way a little bit, but I think, the last 3 or 4 years had really shown we were committed and present, and we were here now in this environment. So, you can't say that for everyone out there right now. So I'm glad that they're here and committed with us.
Wow. Well, I feel more inspired. I guess, let's recover from RCA conference in the sense of, refresh and rejuvenate, and then come back in swinging, right?
Next week.
Swinging for the fences, I guess.
You only get 1 week off. Do your stretching.
1 week off.
When we're going to get back to it, because there's no time like the present. So
that's right.
I think that's the point, though, right? There's no time like the present. And if we do want to invest in our future, we don't have to wait till we are legacy members for in 25 years to start investing. It's about building those relationships today. It's about making sure the organization is here tomorrow. So the calendar post RCA Plus is packed. I don't think I've ever seen something so filled up, as far as spring events and summer events. Super excited. Going to be super poor after this. And I'm excited for it.
But so rich, but so personally rich.
So, yes.
I have done a ton. I have done a ton of these RCA monthly regional events, and people are like, well, it's the Northwest region. I can't go. I'm like, what? I've gone to that's all the regions. I haven't been to a Chicagoland region yet this year. Like it's the best part about it is that you can just do whatever and be with whoever. And had me thinking the honey one. I'm super excited for that one. That's at the end of April. So that's the one.
That's
I'm
double header day. Yeah. Double header. We have the B class earlier in the day, and then we have the Pacific Northwest Share the Love event that same night.
That knife is mine, and it's going to be a custom green handle, Kimberly, just so you know.
All right. Well, I'm going to go shove a few more raffle tickets into that box. We're playing the odds, Jaime.
You had your bets.
Kimberly, you did touch on something about the next 3 months. That's a different action from the RCA. And it's important to note this. Anyone who's been a volunteer over the last 25 years typically found that April, May, June was a really quiet time to be a volunteer. The interesting thing about that is, why would you ever forego a quarter of your year not doing something and be present with your members? So as of last year and now through this year, we're fixing that. We're going to keep our members engaged all year, because that's how you create value. And networking is not to forget yourself the 51 other weeks of the year. That. Mm-hmm.
And we've got the best people in the best places. Justin did an exceptional job. He's like, what are you passionate about? What do you like to do? And then he placed them within the committee that helps them achieve that. And so we've got like top talent in the positions that they need to be in. So, thank you, Justin, for setting everything up so nicely. Like, he set up all the dominoes, right? And then next week, I'm just going to go pink. And then everything is just going to start going. So you definitely set us up for success. So thank you.
Don't discount the amount of work it takes to knock over that domino.
We've got plenty to do. We've got plenty to do. So
we do. So Justin, does this mean that you sunset and you just get to watch and armchair coach from here on, or what the heck is an immediate past president anyway?
Well, historically speaking, in the RCA, the immediate past president was someone who was more or less focused on board roles and just being more of an advisee. We don't really have the hands that we can step aside on that. When it comes to committee assignment, that really is Jaime's decision where she wants me. But I can hedge a bet that I have 2 ideas of places I'm going to be. So I kind of already had staked a claim on the RCACC because we have a lot of opportunities to evolve that. And Carl Marsh and I've had some conversations there. The good news is on the day-to-day grind stuff, that's Jaime's problem now. So now I can focus. And when Jaime has a problem, I don't doubt she'll call or text or email. But no, there's a lot of work to be done. And there's still subdivisions of the organization that could use some polish and things I didn't get to. So luckily, Jaime's more than happy to say, oh, if Justin can go fix this, that's great. He'll just come back and bring us this great result or ask us along the way. And then she'll just like wind me up and set me off. But other than that, just doing what I'm told. My job's here to be helpful and coach when I need to and support when I need to and then do work. So sounds kind of lame. It's true though.
Jaime, about your next 100 days. Or first 100
right,
days.
I was like, whew. Well, I'm actually really looking forward to if Chip Potter is on vacation this week. So I am interacting very little with the Smith Buckland team on purpose. I think they're all decompressing. But next week I've got some very exciting meetings set up, and my goal is to meet with people individually and find out what worked, what didn't work, what we can do. Because obviously I'm going to have a different leading style than Justin, and just really, make sure that I can support internally the team that supports us both internally and externally, right? And then after that, we've got some committee things that we got to assign. We've got some board meeting agenda stuff we got to do. And it's just kind of like, it's getting your mise en place together, right? I'm picking out what carrots I want to use. I'm picking out the garnishes that I need. I'm making sure everything is kind of ready to go. So that way, when service starts, we're all prepared and every station is prepped and everybody has what they need. And the old owner sitting in the back, Mr. Kanthak, just can sit there and count his money as it comes smoking. Yeah. But that's what I'm looking forward to, really, really connecting with staff and connecting with committee leads and chairs, and just let's figure out your game plan and let's make it successful. Plus, I love talking to people.
Well, good luck with the triple-digit emails that come in. I'm sure that Justin's will start to taper eventually when people figure out that he's not the decision maker.
I got a few more LinkedIn requests. We were joking about that the other day. I'm like, so did they just roll in the hundreds like that when you became president? And he goes, yes. Yeah, like just yes. I'm like, oh, indeed. When does it ever stop? No. Like, oh, okay. So,
yeah, what's your LinkedIn limit? Because you're about to hit that.
Total bummer being popular. That's what she's saying. So,
well, at least hopefully it's not lonely at the top. You certainly have a
not with you guys
crowd of fans and supporters and people to share the load. So, the hustlers are here. I'm just going to volunteer all of us at the same time. Hustlers are here for you. We are ready to hustle. And I'm super excited for the future. I'm already super involved. And when you need more, you just call. And I'll
this is being recorded, right?
To join.
Just so that it's
this might get trimmed. Who knows?
Oh, I left this one on the cutting room floor.
Editor, please grab that. Thank you. But truly, thank you, Justin, so much for 93% of a presidency done virtually and keeping an organization alive, restarting a segment at your full-time day job, finishing an MBA,
4 weeks,
raising kids,
4 weeks,
homeschooling, all that. Yeah.
If anybody would like to read a case study with me and do some financial analyses, that's what I'll be doing on my vacation this week for my capstone project. So,
oh man, I'm just waiting for the gooder to greater version of your book that you do someday. So we've already got chapter titles.
This keeps coming up. So
I have no doubt you have some notes.
If not, I can make it up and we'll just start to kind of see what amorphous thing turns into some structure. So I definitely have some stories to tell. So
definitely. And Jaime, super excited. When I started to get involved in RCA, Catherine Proper was president, and I was just thrilled to have a woman president, a chef woman president. It was just like all the things kind of all at once for me. And I'm super excited to support you, my friend. And, let's do this. Let's go kick some ass, right? Like,
we're going to kick some ass for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks y'all for tuning in on the RCA Plus recap and leadership deep dive that we did. I really appreciate just you two and how you've helped shape the organization. And so let's do this.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.